Hi, and welcome to Telepathic TV. This is television that you watch with your third eye. And we have a guest director. Oh, and my name is Neville Johnston, as always.
And I'm Mary Phelan, and our program is about raising our consciousness. And tonight we are going to talk about techniques of thought. So it's very beneficial for you to gain mastery over your thinking and over your life. But before we get into that, did you have anything to say, or shall we jump right in?
Well, yeah, let's just jump right in. You had,
okay.
You were going to introduce.
There are a number of different things I was thinking of talking about, but the typical person has a running negative dialogue that goes on in their head. And we're using negative for sake of speed instead of saying the least desirable thoughts. And then we have some that are more affirming that go on in our head all the time. And because the negative thinking or that least helpful thought is so dense and heavy, it tends to be the loudest thought in our mind. And it goes over and over and over. You didn't get all your work done at work today. You've got to get prepared for that meeting. You've got to do whatever that chatter is that's going on in your head that brings you down like sandbags in a hot air balloon. It's really oppressive and overwhelming. And coming from a place where growing up, my family had, my father particularly, he was a worrier. So we had a lot of that energy going on and you know, where we would get in tape loops in our head of this kind of stuff. And what we seek when we seek some kind of comfort from another person is for someone to say, it's going to be okay, right? So I found that by saying in my own mind, everything is going to be okay, it relaxed me, as if I had gotten that from someone else. We get so used to living vicariously through other people, communicating even with ourselves vicariously through someone else, which then involves having to manipulate them or to coerce them in some way, or to sit there and hope, quote unquote, that they're going to do it. And so then we are held hostage to that other person.
Yeah.
So if we circumvent that and say everything is okay, and I found that if people have a hard time sleeping, wake up and your mind's racing with thoughts and anxiety, just say everything is going to be okay. And what you find is your body just hears the words and says, oh, everything's going to be okay. It had been listening to how everything was going to mess up, and so it calms down. So your assignment for that this week is to tell yourself everything is okay, every chance you get.
Well, our society has for years taught us that nothing can possibly work, that we're, you know, all the rest of that, which is Chan Catter. The easier it is for you to counsel yourself, and you can actually get to the point where you say, you are your own guru, you know, and this is the point. You were just saying, if you tell yourself that or someone else tells you, as long as you're receiving the information. And the more self-existing we all become, the easier it is for the entire group to move forward. So of the techniques of thought we may introduce this evening, and we have for so many years on this program done nothing else other than to introduce techniques of thought. The very first one that I recall was that when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you say to yourself is, I claim my power. And you just keep saying that to yourself until that automatically is the first thought in your day. It takes some time to get it to be automatically the first thought you have in your day, but you can certainly do that. And then after you've done that for a long while, it becomes a different but equally powerful. And then many years later, it's a much greater, just opening your eyes downloads enough power for you to command industry, to create opportunities, to vanish any negative thoughts you might have. Now, once you get used to starting the day on a positive note, you can begin the entire process, again, we've taught for thousands of years now, to be aware of your dreams, because your dreams are really, truly much more than dreams. You know, and of course, the reptilians would like you to believe that your dreams are nothing, And that's, of course, not the truth. And the reason the reptilians would have you believe this is that they realize our dreams destroy them. And that's pretty much the way that works, by the way. Okay, there's another technique of thought. Dream yourself happy. Dream yourself powerful. Dream yourself successful. Last 2 nights ago, whenever that was, I went to bed and I said, okay, well, we'll program the dreams. And we'll program the dreams with a very simple code, which is I dream myself awake. I'm not talking about lucid dreaming. What I mean is when I wake up, I'll wake up. In the meantime, I can enjoy the dream.
Who did that song, I Dream Myself Alive?
I didn't know that.
It was it Moody Blues, maybe?
Who knows?
Anyway, I always like that line, and it reminds me of what you were saying.
Yeah, I dream myself awake.
Something that I think is so powerful to understand is that other people's thinking and other people's edicts and pronouncements and judgments are like viruses that go inside the mind and start acting out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see this a lot in doing this type of work that we do, intuitive work and such. And we'll be doing a show in the future on getting readings and how to dismiss those. But over the years, and I'm sure you have seen many, many as well, where people have come because someone have given them a reading. Like a couple of people have come to me and said that when they were younger, they had a tarot reading where the reader said, you will always have enough, but you'll never have any more than that, meaning financially.
Yeah.
And I have seen people that go from that reading and for 50 years, 30, 40, 50 years, have created only just enough and never quite getting over that, that hump of that.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful what a limiting thought implanted in someone else's head can do. And so tonight we're bringing this up to let you know that there are techniques and things you can do to not let these other ideas or these ideas from other people infiltrate your mind. It's a form of hypnosis, and it's done in marketing as well.
It's done everywhere.
And how it happens is the person that is seeking to control the other person, whether it's someone doing a reading that may not be as reputable as some other people or a salesman or whatever, it is to make you afraid, number one, by telling you something about you is messed up. Your chakras are broken, or you have this terrible curse on you, or whatever this is, or you need deodorant, or you have to get this security system. Whatever it is inflicting a fear on you, which then automatically turns your thoughts imploding in on itself, because you get into a survival loop and you start, oh my God, I got to get out of this, I got to get out of this. Okay, I'll buy whatever you have to sell.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. And so the techniques of thought is really about understanding how thought happens in your mind and how your consciousness is bigger than your thoughts. And so if you can get connected to your consciousness, then the thoughts no longer have power over you. And remember, any thought that anybody else is handing you is merely programmed energy that you can reprogram. Like I have mentioned on the show many times about my experience where I was having a vision that I was dying, and this person walked in and I thought they were healing me. They grabbed my hand and I could feel my life force being pulled out, and I was dying. And so inside my soul, a voice arose and said, thank you for healing me. And immediately I reprogrammed by saying that, the energy, and it became a very powerful healing experience, and I immediately got all of my life force back. So any of these viral programs, with your boss telling you you're not good enough, or your parents when you were a kid, or somebody you've gotten a reading from, or 1,000 million other things, you claim your power by saying, thank you for healing me.
And this is the way it works. And to reinstate positiveness throughout everything that happens, till you get to the point where the slightest bit of, pardon the expression, down, the slightest downer has not only no effect, but it has the effect of pushing you up, making you brighter, making you happier about all this stuff. In dreaming myself awake, when I woke up, was awake, I recited to myself that I had dreamed myself aware, which was different than the programming I went to sleep with, but the programming overnight had switched from awake to aware, which is very interesting tell. So we can constantly be uplifting ourselves, and if we don't do this, then we don't do it. But we can do it, and so here, let me make that one easy for you. And another technique of thought is self-love. Okay, we all have some degree of self-love, yes? Okay, no matter what that degree is. Self-love is self-discipline. Okay, so self-love is self-discipline, meaning that if you love yourself, then discipline yourself to wake up stating that you are your power. I am my power. Self-love is self-discipline. This is a very, a great ease, a grace. A grace is...
I love that, and also I would like to just add to that, that the word discipline, redefine it as self-love. I mean, the definition, also in reverse, because we think of discipline as a denial or a taking away or a diminishment of some nature, but actually discipline is an act of love.
And another thing about discipline, it's disciple and disciple, the language code. So you are your own, when you are your own guru, then you are also your own disciple. And so all of this fits in the language really well, the language codes, is that once you recognize the language codes, so forever we've been teaching the language code should. The word should is guilt manipulation. You want to see how it works? Okay? You should know that. Now, that makes you guilty for absolutely nothing, and once you're guilty, you're highly manipulatable. And this happens 24/7, but not as much as it did. Notice how they hyped 2012 till people were throwing up, I think. There was that much hype behind it. The movie that was supposed to frighten you to death was actually a comedy. Seeing Woody Harrelson get blown up, oh, that was really funny. Now, that was the funniest scene in that. Okay, what about it? Oh, Woody, those were the days. We love you, Woody. That was affection. Now, the next thing they attempted to pull, because we had stopped being frightened because nobody en masse died at that moment in 2012. Nobody died. We're going to have to frighten the people. What do you want to do? Financial cliff. Ooh, nobody bought it. Nobody bought it. Okay? On a mass level, nobody bought it. And that means we're waking up. Now, the thing about it, the things that's technique of thought, the thing that will end war, the thing far more powerful than war is actually love. I'd love to go to war, but no thanks. There you go. Cannot put the entire country in jail. You just simply can't. The kids that are 2 and 3, there is no possibility they're going to go to war. There just isn't. They're too awake. It'll make them laugh. It really will, this concept.
Well,
right.
Before we get too far away from the discipline and the disciple, no, I thought it was a powerful thing that you were observing about the disciple and the discipline. With the redefinition of discipline as being an act of love and not an act of punishment or self-flagellation, is that what that's called, where you wear yourself? Yeah. If you look at it as an act of self-love, it's actually a very self-loving thing to be on your path as a disciple, because we learn so much when we give ourselves away, meaning that we find something bigger than our ego identification. And I would say that's one thing in our spiritual path in mass right now, where everyone is becoming aware of being their own guru and their own disciple and all that, is that they're not going through that disciple process, that apprenticeship, because a lot is gained there. I think that there's a fine line between being manipulated and being a herd animal by being herded over here by those guilt manipulations, those viral mental programs that are used on us all the way through our religion, to our politics, to schools, and to our interpersonal relationships. And being so independent that we can't open up to new thought too. So there is a balance point within us where the best of both come.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Religion is sanitized fear. It's a very interesting way
But to go through devotion rather than fear is a whole other thing.
Yeah, so then I had another point. It was, oh yeah, our language is full of the word can't, okay? And that is a command. I can't believe it. Fine. That's funny. It is. It's actually funny, at least to me. Now, the word won't, however, states your power. In other words, if you say, I can't do this, okay, then you're a resigned coward. Let me just put it that way. If you say, I won't do this, then you are visibly in command of your reality. Does that make sense? So every time the word can't is about to come out of your mouth, switch it to the word won't, and you will suddenly be powerful. This is a technique of thought, also a technique of language. So the more you want to do to create yourself as a powerful being, the better off you are, and the better off we all are. Because if one of us demonstrates being powerful, then the rest of us go, if they can do it, certainly then I can do it. And that's one of the few truths left, even though, well, you see what I'm saying. So the idea of being powerful, of being courageous, of being bold, of Captain Kirk just turned blue in the face telling us to be bold. Nobody does that. You know, be bold. Oh, all right, yeah, I'll do that then. Yeah, and what do you know? You made it true. One of the most ancient expressions is chance favors the hero, but they had another word for it. Chance favors the person who will take a chance. What is that expression? Chance.
The brave, the bold.
Yeah, chance favors.
I remember what you're talking about. Well, I think what it is fear is a control.
Yeah.
Fear is brakes. Fear is a rein that we rein ourselves in with.
Mm-hmm.
And that when we become more ascended thinkers, we no longer use fear to rein us in, we use discipline. So when we are of higher thought, we use discipline, which is self-love, instead of fear to control ourselves. So it's simply put, if we wish to be of a higher knowing and have a better handle on our thinking, then we discipline our mind. That means we love our mind.
Yes.
And whatever you love, you don't let viral programs run in all the time.
Yeah.
But I would say just the use of television and the hypnosis techniques that we use to market things in our society today are really wreaking havoc, even when we sleep, even when we are resting and meditating. Those programs are still operating in our mind. And I would call something up that Neville used to say all the time that I found to be a very powerful thing for a long time. And that is to stop your thoughts. And the camera is on you now.
So recognize.
But is to stop your thoughts by saying.
Just snapping your fingers to stop it.
Okay, to stop your thoughts by snapping your finger. But you were showing people that by saying the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, now stop. You knew F was coming, but you stopped it at E. And that's actually a good exercise. Practice saying the alphabet and then stopping, because we get into this loop that we have to finish everything in a certain way.
If you devote enough of your consciousness to the idea that you are sovereign of the thoughts that are in your head, OCD cannot possibly exist. It cannot, because you're giving up to fear.
I agree.
Now, the thing about fear is it's primarily unconscious. Okay, and to be conscious of having a fear gives you the option to end the fear on the spot. The difference between fear and information is the level of consciousness that you're functioning at. If you are fearful, you're functioning at a lower level of consciousness, absolutely guaranteed. Now, fear is always as a result of missing information. So you can stop it and then blank your mind, which is not difficult to do. If you've ever been sitting in front of a test paper, you have blanked your mind. This is not a difficult thing to do. You snap your fingers, you blank your mind, and you say, give me the missing information, and it appears, because it could not do anything else, because you are a sovereign being. This is another thing we have no concept of. Everything's God, therefore you're God. How's that for a thought technique? Everything is God, therefore you must be God. But we've been tricked for hundreds of thousands of years. Well, I'll give you 16,000 I can think of offhand, where we've been tricked out of our own sovereignty, and it's time we reclaim it. I am a sovereign being. I am in charge of my reality. Whatever happens in my life is my idea. If I don't think it's my idea, I'm unconscious. I'm asleep. I'm out of it. I'm unaware. Everything that happens is my idea. Everything that happens is my idea. Now, I didn't say necessarily a conscious idea, because your subconscious runs us to far more than we would care to realize. So the whole principle of hypnosis is to wake up, not go to sleep. When the hypnosis occurs, it can come through all kinds of things. Go ahead. I have more to say on this point. Go ahead.
Finish it.
Okay, so if you will retrain yourself to wake up when you're being put to sleep, wake up when you're being put to sleep, and then whoever is attempting to put you to sleep, you just say, look, when people attempt to hypnotize me, it doesn't feel good. Now, does my talking to you like this not feel good? Well, then you must be hypnotized. You know, the idea of claiming our power, of being who it is we really are, this is what we came here to do. And the more we fool around with the idea that other people determine our reality, come on, it's time to wake up. 1, 2, 3, you are awake. Voila.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you for that.
For being a sleeper or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember what I was going to say then, but I think that this idea of hypnosis and waking up is a very important thing. Oh, I know. A long time ago, I had been shown in a dream how all this works in the form of colored energy, different colors of energy, and how it seeps into the field and all this. This was at least 13 years ago. I wrote of it in my dream journal. And so what I did then is I went into a meditation and programmed myself. Now remember, we are constantly, many times a day, in a state of hypnosis, whether you realize it or not. And as we're falling asleep, we are definitely in a state of hypnosis. And that's a good time to say affirmations, and that's what I do. I love and accept myself unconditionally, or whatever that is, I say as I'm falling asleep and take it into the dream time. And I can affect really powerful things by doing that. But in this dream, I was shown this color. So as my own self-hypnosis, I program myself to see what is someone else's energy or someone else's thoughts or idea, because we certainly don't stop at our skin, as we've said many times. Our thoughts don't just stop here. They pick up. As a matter of fact, there was a device they invented to measure the thoughts coming out that looked very much like your Tesla coil that you make with copper. But in doing this, artificial intelligence and these certain technologies that allow people to move the cursor with their mind as opposed to their hand, like for quadriplegics or whatever, they found that, like, let's say you're thinking of peeling a banana, and it creates a thought form that goes outside of your head, and it can be measured, and that 200 people could think of eating a banana, and that thought form is going to be similar enough that they can read that thought and know that the person is thinking of eating a banana. This technology is already in use now. So what that proves is when we have thoughts, negative thoughts toward each other or whatever we want to call them, that we pick it up. We're intuitive beings, but we also very mechanically pick this up. And most of the time, we don't pay any attention to it because we're tuned into our own radio station. And whatever's going on in their radio station really isn't of interest. But the moment fear, guilt, or doubt get into your consciousness, what happens is your radio dial starts tuning in other people's stuff. And fear being the greatest of all, and ultimately every one of those words is a fear, what happens is that you then tune out of your radio station entirely, and you tune in to wherever the fear is coming from, because we are biologically and psychologically programmed to tune in to what's putting us in danger in order to survive. But people have, through hypnosis techniques and marketing and all this, and just through manipulating each other, have found a way to utilize that to their advantage. And maybe it's not always malicious. Maybe it's just that someone is feeling unsafe and scared and using it to feel better. But the more we become aware of that other color, so I assigned another color to anything that is not me or originating from me. And I got to the point where I started seeing, hey, this isn't me. But often it just comes in and blends with your own fear and goes into your being.
Very well.
That's why if you can have self-discipline about your thoughts and love yourself enough to really get to know how you think, who you are, without judgment, because judgment separates you from yourself. And if you are not separated from yourself, like the cat, like the gazelle being separated from the pack, then your fear or these things outside of you can't come and isolate you and take you down.
Yeah.
So you have to remain at one with yourself, which involves going in and healing your emotional body and the beliefs and the programs from other people that have made you feel you're not lovable or whatever that is that separated you from you.
Yeah. Well, we have been talking about how hypnosis affects us, and another word for hypnosis is actually meditation, which I think is very interesting. And to retrain yourself, the falling asleep part of the day. Most of us are so stressed by the day that we put in, you know, which is all fiction. It really is. Okay. That as soon as our head hits the pillow, and there's a real prank if you want to cast a pillow out of concrete. No, wait, I'm back. Okay, as soon as your head hits the pillow, you're gone. You don't have any wind down meditation. You don't have, that's an unbelievably keen opportunity. As I fall asleep, I go into a system of meditations that I've done for so many years that they're literally folds in my physical brain, and I can just walk down these little corridors I've created to comb out impurities from the day. You know, and so one of our grand and great thought techniques is to recognize it as love. No matter what it is, it's love. If you recognize it as love, it no longer has any kind. It no longer has any kind of a negative agenda as far as you are concerned. If you can recognize whatever that is as love, then you are master of it. Then it loves you and you love it, and it doesn't matter what it is. And no matter how negative it is, if you can love it, then you are sovereign. And that's a very important thing. So the idea of,
what is
if
the
for
blessing?
no other reason, yeah, what is the blessing is another way to say that. And another technique with it is the idea that if for no other reason, if the person that you just have no use for, okay, why is that love? You can love that person because they are giving you the opportunity to be bigger than them. And that was very, very, very noble of them. And I've explained it so many times, I'm not really going to bother with the story, other than to say that about 3 years after I was shot to death, I recognized that I loved the person because it was my idea I was shot to death, without a question. And I loved the man for doing it. And once I loved the man for doing it, I was no longer bound to incarnate in my next lifetime, become a person who could kill and hunt that person down and kill them. That's off the table. That doesn't exist. That's not reality. Okay, because I loved him for it. Now, whatever game he must play, he must play. But nonetheless, I'm complete with that. And this is the technique by which we become ascended human beings while still alive in our bodies, so that we can just walk around radiating as opposed to walking around as radiators, overheated, that is to say. But nonetheless, the idea that we are here to become sovereign past 2000. I stayed alive for many years knowing 2012 was coming, but if you asked me in that past time period, I wouldn't have been certain. But the moment of the day, this is the point at which we as a race, we as the human race, there's one family on Earth, there's one family in the universe, the human family. We're all related. We're all related, and we all love each other, and we are all looking out for each other. It doesn't matter who, what, where, when. this is the deal here. And once we get to that point where we're all conscious of this, and one more point on meditation. I just watched a tape I did many years ago, which was Carla Neff Gordon, who started to channel. And I just saw the 1 minute of the tape, and I asked her what happened to her that she could channel. And her reply was, I began to meditate every day. And that opened that door to her. And so I just want to really underline the word meditation.
Well, that really, you know, I had mentioned that earlier as well, and I think it's very powerful. I see the meditation as the H bar, the bar in the H that links either our higher self in here, or our dream self and our wake self, or dream and wake awareness, and it's a very critical thing. Also, if you don't focus your attention on all these spheres that are ricocheting around in your head, well then what are you going to focus on? And so sometimes people think there's nothing else, so they hang on to that. What meditation does is it opens the door to a lot of other rooms for you to visit and explore, and you start to understand yourself, you start to know yourself. Often people are terrified of being alone in their own head, so they'll have the TV running 24 hours a day, or listening to music or whatever. And on the subject of meditation, I created, and I have some of them online, and you can go to iTunes and go to meditation break or type my name in and it'll come up. Also the podcast for the TV show, Telepathic TV, you can look at that too. And I have one called Sleep that is designed to help you go into sleep. It's a meditation, but it's also designed as somewhat of a hypnosis to help you relax and go into sleep. And I created a lot of my own meditations because I did not wish to have other people's agendas, so to speak, in my meditation. I found myself listening to certain things that they were saying, and I felt like I wanted to cordon that off out of my system or something. But at any rate, I'm going to be putting up more and more that are designed to give you your power and to deprogram you from things that are not serving you anymore. So please subscribe to it, because I'll be posting a lot. But at night I do the same thing. I listen to the meditations that I have created personally for myself, and I do custom personalized meditations or hypnosis scripts for people for whatever they would like. So email me if you're interested in something like that, because it's a powerful tool. And there was one other one that I thought was, this idea where you were talking about you know, just saying, I claim my power, I'm happy.
I claim my power.
Well, fundamentally, if you look at life and reality as two very fundamental choices, one is I'm safe within the universe, and the other is I live in a safe universe. They sound the same, and just like plucking a string, they're very close together here. But the further you go down, the more of a distance between the two places. If you say I am safe within the universe, which is really the mass percentage of perspective on this planet, is there are safe places within this universe, and if I surround myself with white light, and if I put mirrors around my house, and if I fight Satan enough, okay, I'll be safe. Or if I do good works, maybe God will have mercy on me and keep me safe. And it just goes on and on and on, and as long as we have that belief, fear is going to be in place of self-discipline, which is actually self-love. If you say I live in a safe universe, that means there is no place that is not safe. And you were talking about being shot to death and saying that you chose that and all. And over the years, we've had many questions from people, well, what about a rape? Or what about a child, something happening with a child? Or any of the number of things that are not very pleasant in this reality. Well, if you believe that you live in a safe universe, you have to look for what is a blessing, or that somehow there is something divine, divinely orchestrated here, and that maybe I'm just not seeing the bigger picture. Now that's a choice. I remember thinking that if it was negative and awful, or I see people think this way, I don't think I ever really thought this way entirely, that's the truth, that's the reality. Anything lovely is some pipe dream or fiction. Well, actually, if one is true, then both are true. If one is not true, then neither is true. And so if that's the case, choose something that's going to be life-affirming rather than life-limiting.
Yeah, why not?
And your reality will change from there.
Well, that's where we were talking about control versus command. This is another pitfall people have in their thinking. Could we please forget about the word control? I mean, it's simply nonsense because you're the only one that controls you. When your boss tells you to fly to Japan, you're the one that tells your legs to go get on the plane.
To fly.
Yeah, yeah. So that whole thing is ridiculous because now there is no point at which you are not in command. There is no point at which you are not in command of your life. You can be in an accident, automobile that kills 27 people, and you survived without a scratch, and that's because, oh man, look, this is going to be entertaining. Hey, oops, well, man, you know, I always talk about the Bart Simpson syndrome at this point. So the airplane crashes, Bart's the single survivor. The first thing out of his mouth, could we do that again? Because that's the way the whole thing works. You determine everything that happens in your life. Go ahead, don't believe it. Just pretend
on some
that
level,
other people.
Maybe not consciously, but on some level. I'm just putting that in there because I think it changes the meaning and makes it a little more grounded for people to be able to grasp. That some part of you, we are multidimensional beings.
Yes.
Some part of us is designing the river bed. And so when we have the water going through it, it does not serve us to fight those currents and attempt to redirect the river through willfulness. But it's better rather to connect with the part of us that designed the riverbed and make new decisions from there.
Well, I was reading Marianne Rada's book on the subject of the word bend. And so there's, this all happens in less than a page. There's a description of our universe that describes the form of it as a tube torus, which I had not heard before, but this is fascinating.
Almin said that.
Okay.
Just so you know.
I was probably not listening, as I was saying. Okay. Within this tube torus, there's like a slinky. There's a spiral that's the whole. We as beings that are light slowed down to the point that we're matter, that we're really light, but it's sort of like we're light on a little miniature vacation. Okay. As we travel this spiral, when we have thoughts, we can actually get light to bend, we can get reality to bend simply by placing our attention on a different address than the one we have it on. And that's a major technique of thought command, is that you place your attention somewhere and all of reality bends to put that particular place into existence. Because you had this thought, we are indeed that sovereign, we are indeed that powerful, and the more we want to know this, the more we want to exist this way, as opposed to the slavery units we have been taught to be.
Well, just real quick,
Sure.
Drunvalo Melchizedek had written 2 books called The Flower of Life, where he talked about sacred geometry, and he talks very much about the tube torus, in that we have a tube torus, our chakra system is a tube torus. And the bending of reality with our thought is actually proven science through quantum physics. That, I mean, so this isn't foo-foo stuff, and it's not certainly new either. This is very old information that has stood the test of time.
Oh, excellent.
We have a call?
Yes, hi caller, what's your name please?
Hi, my name is Maria.
Hi, Maria.
What can we do for you?
Hi, thank you. Hi, John and Mary.
Hi.
I want to thank you guys. I love watching your show, and I do that on Thursdays, and I watch the repeats. And lately, I love this idea about saying everything is love, and it's been helping me.
Great.
It's been helping me recently at my workplace, even if I see somebody's not being nice.
Yes, it puts you in charge.
Kind, yet I see it as love.
Excellent.
I bless them in my mind, and instead of saying they against me, I just say this is love. Is God showing me a way, another way to accept this as love?
Oh, that's
I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ascended thinking. That is advanced evolutionary thinking. So congratulations. That's really wonderful.
Maria, that was very wonderful of you to say that. We love your call. Thank you very much. That's confirmation for what we've been been talking about.
It is really, after a long day of work on Thursdays, I want to come here, you guys.
Oh, that would be lovely. We would welcome you anytime, so thank you.
Yes. I've been to your house, your restaurant once, but I'm going to try to go back. I don't know when is the next, gathering.
Okay, yes, I'm going to be posting some things online soon. I have not.
Okay.
The time has not been there for that, but we do go to Ruby Tuesdays after the show for people that want to just
join us
hang
there.
out.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing you. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you for helping me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for.
That's
thank
very
you.
nice.
You're helping everyone you help. Thanks you also.
Yeah, absolutely. And for just hearing us. I mean, we have been saying these things and more. I mean, we've talked about so many subjects.
Yeah.
If you go to telepathictv.com and look on the archive page, that's a tip of the iceberg. There's over 100, 200, whatever.
We've done over 1,000 shows easily.
1,200 we're on our almost to 700 here. We did 250 in Arlington, and then all the ones prior to that. Yeah, certainly.
750. Yeah.
Certainly, a lot of shows. And
quite a bit.
we've been saying this for a long time, even when it wasn't cool to be saying these things, even when everybody thought this was just insanity. So it's good. It's good to hear back from people. We would love it if you just wrote and dropped a line and say, hey, I listen, because we don't really have a way to know if anybody's even
no Nielsen
hearing
ratings.
Yeah.
in our whole thing.
But this is advanced thinking, whether you can hear it in with the advanced ears or not. It is advanced thinking. So on the concept of everything is love, I feel that I was given a great start in life because my mother would say, there's always a reason for something. We may never know it. So it didn't seem random, it didn't seem chaotic, and it felt like love was really driving everything. And if we can look at every situation and send love to it, we're empowering it and raising its vibration and actually changing the world.
That is the way that works. Yeah. And here comes the duck.
And we heard some quacking. Okay. Well, usually we have music coming, but it's waiting for a bit.
Yeah, as we said, it's a new crew this evening.
Yeah, so do check out iTunes, and I think things are going pretty smoothly considering. Yes, all right. Duck dangling extraordinaire.
Sean, our duck dangler.
And I got expansiveness. And really, that's what we're looking to do. We either live in expansion or contraction. Fear is an act of contraction. Love is an act of expansion. So pick. And you can feel it in your body when you're doing one or the other. And so just let your body tell you.
I got authenticity and acceptance, which is...
oh, beautiful.
Yes, isn't it? And only accept authenticity is the way. I recently was selling wands that I've made 07 and 08. I was making wands, and I put them all away, and I just recently remembered, the wands, because I think the world is a little more capable of...
You make some awesome stuff, Neville.
Yeah, and I put authentic magic wands on them, and the 150 people came and noticed that these devices existed, and
well, I just love the minerals you use, like even in your waveforms. These are actually very valuable old minerals, that meaning that now people are digging and mining minerals that really aren't of the same quality that they used to, like what they pass up before. They're now digging because there are only so many. And so the stuff you have is really good. Do we have any calls?
Yeah. Hi, caller. What's your name, please?
Hi, this is Jenny.
Jenny, what can we do for you?
Well, I would like a tarot card reading, please.
Okay.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the minerals were bought and hidden, the deep amethyst, deep purple amethyst.
Yeah, well, and just like the moldavite, there's only so much that is going to be mineable. So, and okay, the first card we get is the card showing an exhaustion, and that can come from working too hard. And even if we're not working really hard, just stressing about things that we think have to get done will cause our body to feel tired. If your mind's racing through, I got to do this, this, and this, the body is thinking, because it doesn't have the eyes to see it the way our brain does. It just thinks, okay, I can believe the brain, I must be doing all this work. And so it starts funding it, and then it doesn't get expended, and then it gets hard to even sleep. So what it's saying is if there's something really draining your energy, consider not doing that anymore or changing it somehow. The seagull is a reminder to rise way above the currents of emotion in the world and life and see it from a different perspective. If the seagull were floating on the top of the water, which seagulls do when they fish, and they're being buffeted around, all they really have to do is flap their wings and get up out of it. So if there's a situation that you feel that you're stuck in, all you have to do is rise above it, and you will. And New Horizons, this card can talk about, you know, seeking a new perspective, but sometimes it comes up to say that there might be a move coming up for you, or a new job. But what came to me first was a move, a physical move. So keep your mind open to that, and there may be an opportunity even if you don't see that there is one now. So thank you.
No, excellent, yeah. And do we have another caller? We had a number of points while they're debating about the new caller. We just wanted to say that the more it is that you realize, watching our show may set off quite a few realizations. The more you realize, the more reality you have to exist in, which is a very important point.
That's great.
And I said a few weeks on the show, they've come up with the idea that there are perhaps 80 billion Earth-like planets. So that's a lot of reality.
Sure
Hi,
is.
caller. What's your name, please?
Hi, my name is Linda.
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 What can we do for you?
Hi, I guess I would love a reading. I've been working with anxiety, high anxiety my whole life, and I'm definitely a work in progress, and I wondered if you could give me any assistance or insight.
Sure, I would be happy to pull some cards and see what we get. And we'll be doing a show on that topic coming up too, which I think is very vital.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first
I'm going to
card.
hang up, okay?
Okay, sure, that'd be great. The first card we get is the Lover's card, but you can see inside the heart it's like all love from outside. It begins inside. And so if we talk about in context of your anxiety, this card reminds me, when I looked at it, how I describe when I'm helping people through anxiety and emotional turmoil in their life is that sometimes there's an event that drops into the stream, and then the stream's forced to go around it, and then we are of two minds. Mm-hmm. And it's always a matter of fighting. And sometimes with long-term anxiety and stress like that, it comes from sometime earlier in your life where you forgot something that seemed to be very important to you. And so you didn't trust your overview, like what the eagle's saying. And so you feel like you have to look at all the detail in order not to miss something. And I've seen this come from someone missing something in the mail that they could have capitalized on and gotten money from, but they didn't see it until it was too late. So from then on, they had to look at everything in the mail over and over again. And then they developed an idea that they can't be trusted, so I have to check up on myself, which is really what anxiety is. You're just checking up on yourself, and you're going through your mind like that. Mm-hmm. So what it's saying is to align more with the higher view and start trusting that microcosm and get into the macrocosm of creation. Also, the eagle is a very powerful totem that at least came to me when I was young, when I was really opening up and getting out of my own anxiety and depression. The eagle came to me in dreams and showed up in so many ways and would teach me in my dreams how to live. And so I would ask you to connect with that energy, and I think that that can really go a long way. And then the card of erasing personal history is very powerful. Sometimes we are in the habit of having an anxiety about something, even if we're not really feeling it anymore. So next time you have an anxiety, ask, hey, do I even really feel this? Or am I afraid of having anxiety? And that could really lead you to a lot different point of view.
You mentioned breaking thought habits.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very important thought
Yeah,
technique.
so thank you for calling about that,
that's
because
excellent.
that's a whole other thing, is a lot of the fear we have in our head is a habit.
Yeah, and it
we
is
have a call.
entirely possible to
Break
get
it.
over that.
That's snapping the fingers.
We could do a whole show on that.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Hi, caller. What's your name, please?
Hi, my name is Karen. I wanted a reading from Mary, and this is more so about my son I want to know.
Okay, anything in particular?
No, just in general.
Just in general?
Yeah,
Okay.
he started his own practice, and I wanted to know which direction it would be going.
Okay, he started his own what?
Practice?
Practice? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see.
Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for calling.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
because
greatly appreciated.
there's always a lot to say about any one person, so it's good to focus this. Well, this is interesting because this is the card of guidance. And so what it's saying is he's already gotten guidance, and I do feel like he is right on the right track. And sometimes that guidance comes and we don't listen to it. And you can see the person in the picture right there that's kind of turning their head away. But that I feel, even if it doesn't look like he's following the guidance at times, overall he is being led, and not to worry about that. Now the bee comes to remind us to network. The bees work together and create this beautiful hive, and they have a really tightly run society. And so right now is a time for him to start networking, because there seems to be more information that would be good for him to know, that you can get just from talking to other people that are already walking on the path, that may change things as they stand with him right now. Meaning there's a branch, I just feel like a branch over here, maybe in a specialty or something like that. And then the change card is coming. You can see the leaves change in the fall for a reason. Change is here for good. So the path he's on is fine, but I feel like he's going to be guided to go in a slightly different direction, and it's going to be very intuitive and not a big disruption. So thank you.
Excellent. Yeah. And another caller. Hello, what's your name, please?
Hi, am I online?
Yes, you
Yes.
are. What's your
Oh,
name?
perfect. My name is Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Lynn, what can we
Hi.
do for you?
I would love a reading. Been going through a lot of transitions, and I'm taking on a business persona, and I would like a reading in that direction.
Okay. Let's see. What's funny is, as I'm pulling these cards, I'll just say it. I saw a website with you. Have you developed one yet for this persona? Is she? I guess she's hung
Are you
up.
still there?
Well, at any rate, just take that. It doesn't matter whether I hear that back or not, because I was seeing it up there. And so if you don't have one, maybe it's encouraging you to go ahead and think about it. And if you do, maybe re-look at it and say, everything we are, the persona of us professionally, personally, and spiritually, is always a work in progress, is always ever-changing evolutionarily. So I would look at it again and maybe say, I want to get it a little more to the point or whatever. Now this is celebrating, because you have done a lot so far. You've walked a long walk, let's say, and so now it's time to celebrate and show your true colors, which is what the parrot's saying. The parrot is not afraid of showing who they are and revealing who your colors are, or what your true colors are. So maybe look at your material or your business plan or whatever and say, is this really me? Am I selling myself short? And that would be the message from that. And the final card is going deeper and looking in. And again, am I limiting myself because I'm afraid of something? The meaning of this card is sometimes we don't go deep within ourselves because we have fears. But when we go deeper and look at it, those fears are really just tiny fish. And what lies underneath them is a treasure chest of ourselves. So
Yes, it's treasure of the
be who you
unconscious.
really are,
Yeah.
and don't look at yourself from the eyes of what the goal is, but from
Those
where.
are really excellent cards you've designed, by the way, in case our viewers weren't aware.
Yeah, they are online. You can play with
Yeah.
them. I will say the colors and the pictures are much nicer online. They didn't come out as well in print, but
Oh, they're
very
beautiful.
useful. And
Yeah, well, I'm here
thank
in
you
the
for saying
studio, so it looks very
Great.
well.
Thank you.
Do we have another caller? We don't. Well,
Anyway, they're the
we're on
inner
our
wisdom
own.
and the spirit animal cards.
Excellent.
But go to telepathictv.com or maryphelan.com, and you can play with the cards. Also, the chakra affirmations are there, and soon to be Mary's magical messages will be posted as well.
Oh, that's excellent.
But you can just give yourself insightful readings every day with them.
Yeah, oh, brilliant. Yes.
So,
So our program is on the idea of thought techniques And one would think that this would be a kindergarten class. One would think. But the exact opposite is true.
Wow,
In
yeah.
kindergarten,
Could you
you're
imagine?
taught bullies, you're taught lack of attention, you're taught just all these things that set you up.
Sugary foods.
Yeah, and all of it while you're wired on sugar. How backwards does this planet have to get before we put our foot down and change things? Here, have candy bar. No. Have diabetes when you're 40. Yeah? Could we just change all this
Cancel.
stuff? Yeah. No, this is the thing.
Yeah.
What do you think we're doing when we give kids candy?
Okay, well, it was our joy and honor to take you to the door tonight.
And you're going through it. Just don't, I don't want to hear it. Just go through the door.
And
it is
check
that
out
simple.
in the archives a 3-part energy transformation series we did. It has a lot of techniques of keeping your energy field up and everything,
excellent.
but it's three hours worth of information. It's in the archives. Check us out. Pass the links around. We're all over YouTube. We've done hundreds of shows. Lots of information in all of them. So thank you.
More than 1,000 shows. Yeah.
Thanks to all of our
See us at Ruby Tuesdays.
crew tonight. Donnie and David were out, and thank you to everybody.
And thank you, Scott, by the way, for
To Scott
piloting our little ship, the director. this
Pat is doing audio as well.